Manx Radio's Update with Lewis Foster.
That's mine. Welcome along once again to Update on Manx Radio. It's 5 o'clock on Thursday the 17th of April. And for one last time before the Easter weekend, let's have half an hour of the latest news on and from the Isle of Man. Coming up, a dredging programme will get back underway in Douglas Harbour tomorrow. Is it half-term hooliganism or just mischief? We hear about issues of antisocial behaviour around the island. And perhaps the online Freedom of Information portal wasn't quite as airtight as it should have been. All that and more coming up, plus the latest weather and sport for you, as well as what to watch out for on the roads this evening. As always, let us know your thoughts. Text 166 177 or email studio@manxradio.com. First of all, let's take a look at the latest headlines with Christian Jones. Faster my Christian.
Faster my. A potential data breach has been uncovered in the Isle of Man government's Freedom of Information system. Manx Radio has found the platform allows users to search FOI requests by names, organisations or postcodes, making it possible to identify who submitted what. Police are urging parents to be aware of their children's whereabouts following a recent rise in antisocial behaviour across the island.
Just think, how do other children feel when they turn up to a beach and find glass there, or when they turn up to play equipment and find that the gates have been broken off?
Officers have responded to multiple incidents, including doors being kicked or banged late at night and eggs being thrown at homes, causing disruption and distress. Manxman Tyler Hannays announced he's stepping away from pro cycling for the rest of this year.
I got into cycling because I love to ride a bike, and the past few months I have not had that same fire to wake up and train in all conditions.
It means he'll also leave the 7-Eleven Click Road Bike Philippines team he joined at the start of the current campaign. In the latest international news, British Transport Police has confirmed it's changing its strip search policy after a Supreme Court ruling over the definition of a woman. It means those in custody will only be searched by an officer in line with their birth sex. The International Monetary Fund says tariff wars have led to off-the-charts economic uncertainty.
It creates damage to everybody. Long-term growth prospects require more opportunities for everybody, not less.
The organisation warns levies issued by the US and retaliation by China and the EU will trigger notable markdowns in growth forecasts. And astronomers are praising the telescope that's led to the discovery of the strongest evidence of life beyond our solar system. Scientists say traces of gases that are only produced by living organisms on Earth have been detected on a distant planet. Those are the Update News headlines next at 6.
Gromayed, thank you, Christian. And the weather brought to you now by Manx Glass and Glazing. Remaining dry this evening with sunny spells and light winds, turning cloudy overnight as the easterly winds freshen and temperatures fall to 6 degrees. Dry at first tomorrow, but rain will arrive from the south later in the morning, turning heavy at times in the afternoon and evening. Mainly fresh easterly winds and a top temperature of 12 degrees. Continuing cloudy with outbreaks of rain on Saturday morning, but the afternoon and evening will be largely dry. Feeling quite breezy in the fresh to strong east wind, best temperature of 12 degrees. Sunset tonight is at 8:24 and sunrise tomorrow morning at 11 minutes past 6.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
If you run a small business or just need more room in the back, Philshaw Vehicles has the perfect van or light commercial for all your needs and can sort out any finance. Based in the Tremode Estate, view philshawvehicles.im or call 49 51 49.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Bell-Dorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company, Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
SMS Trading have moved to 3 St Paul's Square, Ramsey. For flat pack to fully built, new or second-hand furniture, SMS Trading offer all-island delivery and man-in-a-van service. Call 315151 or find SMS Trading on Facebook.
At Begode Cattery, we have been caring for animals for over 50 years. As a cattery, we care for customers' cats and treat them as our own. Contact Begode Cattery on 676 947 or find Begode Cattery on Facebook.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
And the time is 5:05. Parents are being urged to keep a close eye on their children's whereabouts following a recent spate of antisocial behaviour. Police across the island have reported incidents of doors being banged or kicked late at night and eggs being thrown at houses. I spoke with Sergeant Steve Gorry at Castletown Police Station.
We've seen a number of relatively low-level acts of antisocial behaviour, criminal damage, vandalism, that on their own are not unduly concerning. Altogether, they cause quite a lot of concern and upset in the neighbourhood, particularly with some of the small fires that have been lit, have a real potential to get out of hand and cause unintended consequences, both for the people committing these acts and also for other people in the community.
We're hearing that there are some, obviously, young people out and about quite late at night. What can parents do to take some responsibility on this?
Well, there is a huge amount of parental responsibility that should be exercised. What we are finding is that some kids are quite resourceful and they're sneaking out at night. And also, because of the location and types of some of the vandalisms, we believe them to be more likely children than not. They've managed to bring with them items from home to commit some of these acts that we are mindful that parents should really notice have gone missing from the house. For example, with these small fires, they may have come home smelling of smoke perhaps, and really what we want is just parents to be a little more switched on and a little bit more intrusive with their kids. If they think there's anything untoward, ask the kids the question first before we have to ourselves.
That's Sergeant Steve Gorry at Castletown Police Station there. Well, anyone whose home is targeted by antisocial behaviour is urged not to go after those responsible, rather report it to the police as soon as they can. 5:07 now, and a potential data breach has been uncovered within the Isle of Man government's Freedom of Information system, raising some serious questions around data privacy. Christian Jones has been investigating and joins us now. Christian, what have you found?
Well, the issue centres around the search function on the government's FOI platform, and we've discovered that by entering specific keywords like a person's name, an organisation, or even a postcode, you can actually bring up all the Freedom of Information requests submitted by that individual or group.
So essentially anyone can see who's asked for what.
Yeah, exactly. So that means journalists, private citizens, or organisations submitting requests, which are supposed to be anonymous, can actually be identified. And in sensitive cases, that could put someone at risk of scrutiny or even retaliation, especially if the request touches on potential wrongdoing or controversial decisions.
Well, that appears to be quite a serious concern, of course. So have you found anything else?
Well, yeah, in some cases, redacted FOI documents still contain personal information within their metadata. It gets a little bit more complicated from here, but just bear with me. So if names are removed from the visible text, details can still be uncovered using the keyword function. In one case, a redacted email could be linked back to a named government official, and subsequently you can put two and two together and reach a conclusion.
Right, okay, so let's look at the law and policies surrounding this then. What can you tell us there?
Well, under the government's own data privacy policy, personal data linked to FOI requests should be deleted after 12 or 36 months. That's depending on whether an internal review is requested. But we actually found cases dating back as far as 2018 that are still traceable today, and they're able to be linked back to the individual that submitted it.
Has there been any official response to these findings then?
Well, currently the Information Commissioner's Office has confirmed to us that it's launched a probe into it. We have also this afternoon had a short statement from the Office of Cybersecurity and Information Assurance, which says it's taken the page offline for the time being until the root cause can be identified and that they can deploy a fix. It continues to say that it'll provide an update in due course, but it's working with the Information Commissioner to investigate the issues at hand.
We'll keep an eye on that. Guru Mayed, Christian Jones. 5:10 now, and a 4-day dredging programme will start in Douglas Outer Harbour tomorrow. Specialist contractors Buscalis will undertake the work. They visited the island for 3 days of dredging last month, following the completion of a survey by Clydeside Surveys. Infrastructure Minister Dr Michelle Haywood says in the longer term, her department will look at a capital dredge, but explains what will take place over the coming days.
We've got a contractor, Buscalis, who came in a few weeks back, are back over this time with an adapted bit of equipment that they've used that we think is going to tackle the rather sticky mud that's sat down there that's causing us the problems. They're scheduled to be over for 4 days, and during which time we'll be sort of surveying across the harbour as well to check what depths are being achieved, and we'll see how we go from there.
Going further, would they have to do like an annual visit to get this thing done, or?
I think longer term we're looking at doing a bigger, what's called capital dredge, which would involve, I suppose, like the marine equivalent of a sort of a JCB scoop of pulling out the material that's down there and taking it and dumping it in one of the licensed dumping areas out to sea. That's obviously a significant financial commitment as well. So we're looking to see what we can achieve now to keep the harbour working at a reasonable level, and then our own assets should be able to maintain that depth. I suppose the only thing is to say, you know, for the officers who in harbours who've been working to address this problem, just sort of thank them for the amount of work that they've done over trying to find solutions and trying to get things rapidly implemented to address this, because we know the disruption that it's been causing.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
Turning our attention once again to the local authority elections next week, and a candidate standing in the upcoming election in Castletown says he wants to see the town become more inclusive for people with disabilities. Lawrence Watterson, who's lived in the town for 45 years, would like to review parking availability if elected and will campaign for better blue badge parking in the area.
So a few people approached me saying that I'd spoken sense and that I should consider standing. I decided it's time to put your money where your mouth is. If you feel that strongly about Castletown, then you have to stand. It started with the blue badge parking. I had an elder brother who was unsteady on his feet. As we all know, the Union Lane is a wind tunnel, and he would be unable to walk down there to go to the chemist to collect his prescription. So you'd get the phone call every now and again, can you get my prescription for me? I have a sister-in-law as well who is a wheelchair user, and I spoke to her, asking her about the spaces that were available, and she said half of them I can't use with being a wheelchair user. That was basically the reason behind me standing, that I want to see Castletown be an inclusive town for everyone. And we have to deal with the situation. And I get that the square is a good focal point in the summer and it brings people together. But what I see is that we're not looking outside the square at the rest of Castletown. We need to improve the shopping experience in Arbury Street and Maloo Street as well. And in the outlying areas where Qualtroug's Yard, the board need to start building bridges with the community as a whole, and carry on making the town attractive to residents and visitors alike, trying to make the town more vibrant and healthy for their shopping experience, which would encourage further retailers into the town. We also need to have safe environments for children to play in.
That's Lawrence Watterson, a candidate in the upcoming local authority election in Castletown. The other candidates are Tony Brown, Beth Cannon, John Kringle, William Galley, Alan Leonard, Colin Leather, Mahendra Kumar Patel and Carol Quine.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Well, we'll start on the roads in Douglas. A stretch of Quarterbridge Road will be closed later this evening between Selborne Drive and Quarterbridge Roundabout for patching works. The closure will be in place from 6:30 until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Also this evening from 6:30, Braddon Bridge will be made one way between the Jubilee Oak Roundabout and the Church Roundabout for traffic heading west. Traffic heading into Douglas will be diverted via Saddle Road, the new Castletown Road and Quarterbridge. It's all for utilities work. Two-way traffic will resume before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Elsewhere in Santon, temporary lights on the new Castletown Road just south of Mount Murray for work on the manhole covers there. In Crosby, temporary lights on the main road between Crosby Crossroads and Maround Church for work on the street lights. And in Ramsey until the 12th of May, temporary lights at the Bowring Road/Jerby Road junction for gas main work. Over at the airport, no concerns there tonight. All flights expected on schedule this evening. And on the sailings, Manannan is on her way to Liverpool, expected there at 5:55. And the Manxman is on her way back from Heysham, expected back here into Douglas for 6 o'clock.
Quayside Tyres and Service Centre with 1 year's free engine warranty from Castrol. Get more with Quayside. You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
And it's 5:15 and 2 questions. Do you have a motorbike? And do you have some bunny ears? Well, even if you don't have any Easter-related fancy dress, you'll still be welcome on the Easter Bunny Ride-Out this Sunday, which has been organised by H&H Motorcycles. Nathan Harrison says it's something he, his dad and brother have wanted to do since they started the new business.
One of the things that we tried to do when we set up the bike business was to try and create a community, and that's what we're trying to do, and obviously raise some money in the meantime for a good cause. Obviously, we chose hospice this weekend, so we're going to do an Easter Bunny Ride-Out, try and raise some money for hospice. Obviously, that's a charity that's quite close to our heart, and also obviously get the biking community together and get the season off with a good start.
A lot of people going around with bunny ears on their helmets.
That's the plan. We've had quite a few riders in showing us what they've got on their outfit, so that's a positive start. And like you say, it's all meant to be for a bit of fun, for a great cause, and get everyone together. Thankfully, the Isle of Man Constabulary have got involved with it. The roads policing team are on board with it to try and keep it as safe as possible and keep everything contained. So we're meeting at H&H from 11 a.m. on Sunday to plan to leave at 12. Obviously, it'll be a police escort. They'll obviously be at the front, probably in the middle and at the back. So we're going to head from H&H Motorcycles, 12 o'clock, head along the TT course to Ramsey. We're going to stop in Ramsey. Ramsey commissioners have kindly shut a bit of their road near the park. Then hopefully we can get like a group photo and head the coast road back to the grandstand, where we will finish up and have the raffle there in pit lane at about 3:45, I think. So we've got an RI RX7 helmet. It's worth like £800. We've got action camera, like onboard camera. We've got £100 Steam Packet voucher. All the proceeds will be going to hospice, which is the main thing.
So if someone's listening then, Nathan, and they'd like to take part, what do they need to do before Sunday?
Literally just turn up. Obviously, if you've got something that's Easter related, even better, but any bike, any rider is welcome. It'll be also good to see people out and about and supporting it as well. But yeah, other than that, literally just turn up at H&H from 11 onwards and join on.
That's Manx TT rider Nathan Harrison speaking to Beth Espy there. You're listening to Update on Manx Radio. It's 17 minutes past 5. And after a difficult 2025 so far, FC Isle of Man bring their latest NWCFL Premier Division season to an end on Saturday as they host West Didsbury and Chorlton at the Bowl. After the news he's retained his job as manager for another season earlier this week, Paul Jones says they hope to end the season on a good note after a poor set of results so far this calendar year.
Very happy. I had to consider it carefully, really, to make sure I felt that the players trusted in what we're doing, and I still believe that I could have a positive impact with the group. And once we had both of those things kind of sorted out, then I wasn't expecting not to do it, but we had to give the board an opportunity to think it through and make sure they still felt I was the right person for the role. And everything's come together now, and we can move on and hopefully plan for an exciting season ahead. But although we haven't reached our goals this season,
it has been a tough run of results, as you've made no bones about. If you were to get something from this Saturday just to round off the season, how much do you think that could do for confidence in the group going into the rest period over the summer?
I think it'll be more confidence for people outside the group. Do you know what I mean? Like the supporters and other people maybe associated with the club a little bit further away from the playing group. There's this underlying confidence and belief within the group. It's fragile, so of course winning the game on Saturday will really help, but we're also able to recognise just how far we've come over the last 2 seasons. So there's that growing belief within the group that they're getting there. But of course, winning games of football is the ultimate way of showing people that is all coming together. So yeah, it'd be great to finish with 3 points. We can't expect West Didsbury to come down and roll over and just have a nice weekend in the Isle of Man before they go into the playoffs. They won't want to be going into the playoffs after a loss. So yeah, it's going to be a tough game. So we need to focus on that. And if we win, fantastic. If we don't, we need to make sure it's a really, really strong and encouraging performance that we can take into pre-season. You don't always get a win, even if you play really well, but the most important thing is that you play well. And that's something that we're going to be, making sure the players are really focused on Saturday.
FC Isle of Man versus West Didsbury and Chorlton kicks off at 6 o'clock on Saturday evening. Manx Radio will be providing full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels. Now, the Human Tissue and Organ Donation Act will be the topic at a focus group meeting for people of different faiths, faith leaders and religious organisations, as Simon Richardson reports.
The gathering will be co-hosted by Public Health and the Lord Bishop and will provide a platform for faith groups to share their perspectives on the new law. The legislation introduces an automatic deemed consent system, meaning adults will be considered as organ donors unless they specifically opt out or belong to an excluded group. The codes of practice and secondary legislation relating to the Act are due to be presented to Tynwald in July this year. The proposed changes align the Isle of Man with the UK regarding the use, storage and disposal of human tissue. Public consultation and engagement from different interest groups is seen as a vital part of ensuring the law respects the diverse views of all religious communities and is applied with sensitivity. Lord Bishop, the Right Reverend Patricia Hill, said organ donation is a profound act of generosity and compassion, rooted in the moral and ethical teachings of many faiths. The meeting takes place at the Bishop's office on Friday the 2nd of May. Those wishing to participate should confirm by emailing peter.shimmin@gov.im by Wednesday the 30th of April.
Simon Richardson now. A record turnout of 720 entries are expected to take part in this year's Isle of Man Easter Festival of Running, which gets underway tomorrow. 3 races will take place over 3 days from Good Friday until Easter Sunday. Event director Chris Quine.
I think we're getting our runners from two distinct markets, really. We've got the university teams who come over year after year, and we've seen terrific growth in those. Teams that maybe came over with half a dozen people are now coming over with 15, 20 people. Our biggest team is from Leeds University, who are bringing 80. And, the local market, if you like, we see a lot of people out running. It's very popular. It's a good opportunity to do certainly a fast 10K, really scenic course on their own doorstep, no cost of going away. You can just stay at home all day and go down and do the race in the evening. And, so it's nice and convenient, and it's always a good atmosphere, but it's serious at the sharp end as well. And we hope for some good weather. Whether we're going to get it or not remains to be seen. But the people who come over from off island are absolutely amazed at the course. We had somebody come over from a number of years ago who'd done many races over many, many years, and he said this was the Peel Hill race he was referring to was the most scenic race he'd ever done. So I think everyone's blown away by the scenery. A lot of races in the UK are maybe in parks and industrial estates and the likes, and around the south of the island is fantastic. Peel Hill, you get up to Corrans Folly and you've got the view all the way down southwest coast of the island. Not that they should be looking at the view, but nevertheless, it's spectacular scenery all round.
One thing I know you were keen to talk about is the work that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see, and not just yourself, but plenty of others. The volunteers that make it all happen, all the logistics, and of course being marshals on the day as well. How important are all these people behind the event to make it work?
Oh, they're essential, and without them, it doesn't happen. It's a volunteer-led event. We have probably around 100 people involved. Whether that's somebody stood on a street corner or handing out bottles of water or whatever, everybody is playing a part.
And from one running event this weekend to another as the Manx Mountain Marathon takes place on Saturday, one competitor who's coming over from the UK will be taking part in a Q&A session tomorrow evening in support of Hospice Isle of Man and Motivate Addiction Services. Jack Scott overcame a gambling addiction in his early 20s to become a record-breaking ultra runner. I spoke to him earlier today ahead of his travels to the island.
Yeah, so we're getting our heads together to sit down, invite people to come and expose themselves to some stories that me, Nikki and Oren have got, and to just show people that this sport, long distance running especially, it's for all different shapes and sizes with different backstories, different colours and different creeds, and it's not one-dimensional at all. As soon as you leave the marathon distance behind, you start looking at the super long distances, 50 miles, 100 miles, and then into the multi-day stuff. Everyone belongs there. And I suppose what I want to promote is a little bit of self-belief. I think running has changed and the sport has changed. It's not necessarily a certain gender or a certain body type that can do this sort of stuff, or even a certain age. And I want to sort of promote that and just tell people to believe in themselves and find a passion. And if they can do that running, that's the best way I've found.
Now, Jack, you've been quite open as well yourself about your history with gambling addiction. Tell us how running helped you overcome that.
Yeah, so I was a gambling addict as a young man from, let's say, 18 to maybe 25, 24. I think this December will be my 5th year clean. I don't say recovered because recovery is a constant moving train. You don't just shut a door on it and move on. It's always in your psyche and it's always there, and it always shows itself to me and reminds me, and I nod my head to it and smile that I've managed to move on. I suppose running gave me clarity, it gave me hope, it gave me self-purpose. I was extremely hard on myself when I was struggling psychologically with the gambling, and running just opened the door to different options and different emotions that I hadn't felt for a long time because I was stuck in such a one-dimensional whirlwind, if I'm honest.
Well, tomorrow night's event will be at IQEQ on Victoria Road in Douglas from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock. You can find those details over at manxradio.com. Let's catch up in the world of sport with Manx Radio sports editor Rob Pritchard. Fast am I.
Fast am I, Lewis. Well, first off, this weekend there's a doubleheader of Manx football with 2 finals in 2 days. First up on Good Friday, tomorrow is the final of the 2025 GH Corlett Woods Cup. The showdown of the ball will pit 2 Division 2 teams against each other, with Braddon taking on Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys at 2 p.m. Well, Braddon have already been crowned Division 2 champions, whilst their northern opponents remain right in the fight to claim the last promotion spot. Well, Manx Radio's football correspondent Tony Mepham is expecting an exciting and competitive final.
Delighted for Ramsey Youth Centre, purely because they don't get to many finals. They've been chipping away in Division 2 for quite a while now, but this year you could just see that they had something special. The squad was looking good, but you wouldn't want to face Braddon at the moment because Braddon have been in fine form. I think they can match Braddon, but Braddon haven't won the league because they're not a good team, and first against third in the league is going to be a great competition.
Well, the day after that will be the 2025 ECAP FA Cup final as Foxdale face Ayr United. It's progress for Foxdale, who became Division 2 champions last season, and they face an Ayr United side who were runners-up in the FA Cup 12 months ago. Well, both finals will kick off at the Bowl in Douglas on their respective days at 2 p.m. And finally, Dominic Herbertson will compete in all solo classes at the 2025 Isle of Man TT races after forming his own team. Well, the Hexham rider will contest both the 1000cc and Supersport categories under his own squad name, which is Herbertson Road Racing Company. The update follows a period of uncertainty after the team he was previously due to ride for, WTF, with Future Racing, cancelled its road racing plans for the year earlier this month. Separately, the 31-year-old is already confirmed to be taking part in the Super Twin class with Melbury Racing.
Rob Pritchard, Guru Mayed. That's it for Update tonight. Thank you for joining us. Chaclair is up next and Chris Kinley is back at 6 o'clock with Greatest Hits to get your Easter weekend underway. Stay tuned, have a great evening, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.